My name is Tillman. Frank Tillman. I have a little club outside of Kansas City called the Double Deuce. It used to be a sweet deal. Now it's the kind of place that they sweep up the eyeballs after closing. I need somebody to help me clean the place up. I need the best.
You had time to think about it for a while. Well, I walked 200 miles. Look me over.
He's good. He's real good.
How's a guy like you end up in God's?
Just lucky, I guess.
People who really want to have a good time won't come to a slaughterhouse. We've got entirely too many troublemakers here. Too many 40-year-old adolescents, felons, power drinkers, and trustees of modern chemistry. Can I buy you guys a drink? Guess not.
Who is that guy?
The name is Dalton.
1989 saw the release of Roadhouse. Released during a great summer of films, Roadhouse did pretty well at the box office, but became a big hit on home video. It was produced on a modest budget of around $15 million. The movie was apparently based on a true story, but I struggle to find any evidence to support that claim. It's probably loosely based on a number of small events in Missouri. Despite it being set in Missouri, they built the Double Deuce Club in California. The bar was constructed for the movie and was dismantled once filming was completed. The filming of much of the new Double Deuce was done at the Cowboys/The Bandstand, which went by other names as well until it closed, located not far from the original set. The fight scenes were choreographed by martial arts expert Benny the Jet. Patrick Swayze already had trained in martial arts, but Benny was brought in to give the fights some flair, and he helped develop a style for Swayze's character, Dalton. One scene you see him practicing Tai Chi, and the rest is mixed martial arts, a combination of Western and Eastern styles. Patrick Swayze, who is sadly no longer with us, he passed away in 2009 to pancreatic cancer. He was already a big star at the time thanks to his performance in Dirty Dancing, which won the hearts of many girls growing up. His character Dalton acts extremely cool under pressure when the drunk thugs get in his face. It makes me laugh that he literally smokes in every other scene, puffing away on Marlboro Reds. I'm surprised he can fight so well after smoking before and after a fight. Sam Elliot plays Dalton's mentor, Wade Garrett. He is just as cool and calm under pressure, and is basically an older, more relaxed version of Dalton. Sam Elliot is always a pleasure to watch on screen. He just has the coolest voice with that deep sound, which often gets him cast as cowboys. Ben Gazzara plays Wesley. He has crippled the town and extorted money out of all the local businesses, and he has paid off the cops, so he pretty much rules the town. Ben Gazzara has been in loads of films, but I remember him from The Big Lebowski, and he kinda plays a similar sort of character, called Jackie Treehorn. He unfortunately passed away from pancreatic cancer as well, in 2012. Jeff Healey, a Canadian singer who plays a blind musician at the Double Deuce, lost his vision when he was 3 years old. Before researching the movie, I didn't know he was blind and thought it was all done for the film. He plays his guitar in a very unique way by playing it on his lap. I don't think Jeff Healey was popular in Europe in comparison to the US and Canada. He remained popular in his home country till he passed away in 2008. He gives a very natural and likeable performance in Roadhouse and provides some great music. James Dalton is a professional cooler, i.e. a specialised doorman or bouncer, with a mysterious past who is enticed from his current job in New York City by club owner Frank Tillman to take over security at his new club, the Double Deuce, in Jasper, Missouri. Tillman plans to invest in the club to enhance its image and needs a first-rate bouncer to keep the troublemakers at bay. Arriving in Jasper and searching for a place to stay, Dalton eventually takes lodging at a local farm. He attracts attention driving his Mercedes-Benz and having a quiet demeanour, contrasting with the tough locals. Dalton is soon introduced to a local business magnate and the next-door neighbour, Brad Wesley. Wesley appears to have a stranglehold on the town, and little happens without his knowledge and approval. In the course of cleaning up the violent nightclub, Dalton dismisses several unruly and corrupt employees, some of whom are connected with Wesley. After one particular violent night where Dalton is forced to physically remove Wesley's henchman from the club, he suffers a knife wound. Upon going to the hospital for stitches, he strikes up a friendship with Dr. Elizabeth Clay, which leads into a romantic relationship. Wesley summons Dalton to his home in a seemingly innocent attempt to make peace, but has an ulterior motive. Wesley would like Dalton to work for him once he extorts Tillman's club. When Dalton declines, Wesley begins an assault on Dalton's friends, including interfering with liquor deliveries to the Double Deuce. Dalton's mentor, legendary but aging cooler, Wade Garrett, arrives in town after a disconcerting phone call from Dalton and helps him defend a liquor shipment from Wesley's thugs. That evening, local business owner Red Webster's auto parts store is destroyed by fire after he refuses to give ground to Wesley's persistent extortion demands. Dalton, not wanting to exacerbate matters, allows Wesley and his men entrance to the club that night. The next day, one of the car dealership owners becomes Wesley's next victim. When he rebuffs Wesley, as a result, Wesley has one of his thugs demolish the structure with his monster truck as Dalton and his friends look on with contempt. That night, Doc visits Dalton and attempts to persuade him to leave. However, their conversation is interrupted by a powerful explosion. Dalton rescues Emmett from the blaze before the house is completely destroyed. He then witnesses one of Wesley's henchmen, Jimmy, fleeing the scene. Roadhouse received a standard soundtrack release at the time, with a selection of pop/rock songs in the movie. The Canadian guitarist Jeff Healey, whose band was featured in the film as the house band for the Double Deuce. The band in the opening credits contributed 3 songs to the film that never made the soundtrack, and the band looked very familiar to me when I first saw them, but then I remembered they appeared in Dusk Till Dawn. Patrick Swayze also wrote 1 song and sang 2 for the soundtrack. The film score was composed by Michael Kamen. He wrote about 50 minutes worth of material. A lot of it goes unnoticed because the majority of the soundtrack is filled with rock songs, but during the emotional sequences and key action scenes, the score really comes into its own. Kamen's score was released in limited numbers on CD a couple of years ago, but it's now unfortunately sold out, but I'm sure it's readily available on eBay. Both Siskel and Ebert gave the film the thumbs down, but there were many aspects of the film Roger Ebert enjoyed, but Gene Siskel thought the movie was a parody.
Paul says you got a degree from NYU. What in?
Philosophy.
Roadhouse is not a good movie, that's for sure, but it is not a boring movie. It has so much fun with so many different cliches that it's tempting to believe they actually intended this movie to be a parody. But I don't think so. I mean, it's been a long time since I heard anybody in a movie snarl the immortal words, "Prepare to die." There are about 16 different messages in this film, all of them completely confusing and meaningless, and lots of tension between Swayze, the bouncing philosophy student, and Kelly Lynch, the woman who hates violence. And let it be said that Ben Gazzara has a lot of dry fun with the role of the town bully. They claim that Roadhouse was based on a true story, but if it was, it just used the facts as a launching pad.
The only way I could appreciate it was as a parody, because, I mean, it's so out there. I mean, it's so cartoon-like, and it's basically the Patrick Swayze show. I mean, bumping and grinding with women, bouncing guys around the barroom floor. I didn't care for it at all. I mean, I was just, you know, I watched him do the stunts, and I thought, you know, there's the money shot with him with his shirt off and all that. There he is with the woman. There he is pounding people, getting hit hard.
Well, you know, what it is, it's a drive-in movie.
Yeah.
And actually, I've got, you know, I have to be honest. I'm not giving it a thumbs up. I laughed a lot during this movie. Now, recently I saw a Richard Pryor, Gene Wilder comedy,
right,
in which I didn't laugh once.
Right.
And it was genuine laughter. For example, there's a scene where Gazzara is in his trophy room. You know, he's a hunter. Mm-hmm. And if you look around, they show all the different walls of this trophy room. You realize this guy went hunting at the zoo. I mean, he has 170 different species in there. I mean, he's got a yak on the wall. And when you begin to look at stuff like that, at least
I saw that shot. Yeah. Well, I saw that shot too. I mean, I said, you know, there it all is. But I don't know. I guess I wanted to see something more than just smash.
Well, I'll say it's a close miss.
Roadhouse has built up many fans over the years and has even been referenced in many TV shows, and even Kevin Smith provided a commentary to the deluxe DVD release. But I think what many people recall hearing the film's title is from Family Guy, where Peter goes around kicking people and saying Roadhouse, and as usual in Family Guy, it goes out of control.
Keep the change. Roadhouse. 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 Roadhouse.
A sequel called Last Call was released directly to DVD in July 2006, set many years later and tells the story of Dalton's adult son. It features no one from the original cast and only references Dalton, who was reportedly shot dead before the film took place. Roadhouse is probably the ultimate guilty pleasure movie. Some critics consider it so bad it's so good at the same time. It's incredibly cheesy and unoriginal to a certain degree, and the idea of a bouncer cleaning up a town is so silly and unrealistic, but that concept makes it that more enjoyable. Roadhouse is a very well polished film. It's nicely photographed and certainly doesn't look cheap. It's directed well within the context of the story. The fight scenes are choreographed really well. The editing doesn't hide it. It's not shot with extreme close-ups. It's shot pretty much all wide angles, giving great scope to the fight scenes. Swayze does a great effort on camera and shows he can generally fight to a good level. Being a professional dancer really helped him on the martial arts side of things. Roadhouse has everything you want from an 80s movie. People smoking every other scene, fake tits, neon lights, cheesy rock, great action, and loads of mullets. If you take it seriously, you may think it's rubbish, but if you know what to expect, you'll have a great experience and it may end up being one of the most entertaining films you'll come across. Go and watch it now if you haven't already.
Tell me, if I owned a bar and wanted to clean it up, how much would it take to get you to come work for me? There's no amount of money.
Oh my God!
We can salvage the place, Red. We can build it back up. I'll help you out.
20 years I watched Wesley get richer while everybody else around him got poorer.
Can you prove he started the fire?
Who you gonna prove it to?
He's got the sheriff and the whole police force in his pocket, for Christ's sakes.
There's only one person around here you gotta prove anything to. That's Wesley himself.
You scared him last night.
Brad Wesley, he's not afraid of anything, right?
Last night, that son of a bitch was afraid.
You don't need this.
Tell me what I need. If you want to go, get the fuck out of here and leave me alone.
Yeah, you're right. I ought to stop telling you what to do. Maybe I ought to kick your ass.
You want to fight, dickless?
I sure ain't gonna show you my dick.
Get out of here!